Did you enjoy yourself today? We said yes and we said no, huh? Oh, yes rules the world, huh? Okay. Okay, well, everyone did a really good job. I don't know I don't think all of our scientists are here yet. But what I want to do, maybe we should wait till they get here. What I want to do is I want to introduce you to someone who is very dear to our organization. And his name is Mr. Reid. And he works for Abbot Laboratories. He's actually an engineer by training, so I'd like to have him come and say a few words.
Thank you, and welcome to the Museum of Science and Industry, and I hope you guys have had a wonderful morning and even better afternoon. We really like to take this opportunity on behalf of the board to welcome you to Chicago. Obviously, most of you, or all of you guys, live here, but we want to really thank our very distinguished scientists. And really, my words for you would be to really embrace much of the knowledge that has been shared with you this morning. It is very rare to have in a room 4 to 5 individuals who have each made so many wonderful contributions in the name of science. And I think we're really, truly honored to have them a part of our Science and Medical History Makers program. And we would encourage each of you, today, hopefully you heard something that will unlock many of those possibilities that will exist for you during your various, your journey in life. And as you heard today also, a lot of our distinguished guests had to overcome numerous obstacles, but they never let that interfere with their goals and dreams and aspirations. And we hope that each of you will continue to work hard, be diligent in your studies, and have fun and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can I have, Carol, can we bring our scientists out, please? I know you've heard from each of them, but not all of you had a chance to listen to them, so I'm gonna bring them out one at a time, and they're gonna say a few words, and then we're gonna go on with our program. Okay, we're going to start with Dr. Cooper, though he's just taking a seat, so I want him to get up and tell us a little bit about himself and what he experienced today.
Thank you very much. It's been really, first of all, an honor and also a great pleasure to come and be with you, to give you some idea of what's behind what I'd like to call a scientific success story. I think I was born to be a biologist. I played with frogs and worms and fish when I was a boy, and kept that view through elementary school, high school, college, university, through all of my degrees. I managed to finish very early. For example, I was out of high school at 16, out of the university at 20 years. So I went quite rapidly. I would encourage you, and I heard some of that in the presentations, follow your dreams, dream a lot, and also work very, very, very hard. And I think you can also do the same sort of success that I've experienced. Thank you again.
Okay, next we have Dr. Joanne Berger-Sweeney. So she'll come up.
All right, hello everybody. So I study physiology and neuroscience, and that means that I know that after you eat, your blood starts to rush to all those places that help you digest, away from your brain, and you want to sleep right now, right? Yes, exactly. So it's really hard to hold people's attention after lunch, but that's kind of one of the tasks that we have, and one of the things that I have learned as a physiologist, biologist, and neuroscientist. I am incredibly happy to be here. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and just seeing your faces out there reminds me a little bit of what it was like for me when I was in middle school and I was excited about science and I liked to do a lot of things. You gotta take that energy that you have, that creativity that you have now, and think about how to channel it into ways to keep moving forward your entire lifetime. You will have roadblocks, you will have challenges that you have to overcome, but if you take a little bit of the inspiration of today and events like this, I know that you can be great whatever you want to be, because I heard some fantastic questions out there today. I heard a lot of good thinking, and I even think I heard that there may be a few future scientists among us. So thank you very much for inviting me. It has been an absolute pleasure to be here. That's okay, you can start clapping, and I'll see you again, I hope.
Okay, and next we have Dr. Luther Williams.
Thank you. I too am very honored to be here. It's really a distinct pleasure. I congratulate the leadership and everyone involved with HistoryMakers for this very important effort that's being undertaken. Like Dr. Cooper, as I indicated to you earlier, I grew up in a small farming community south of Birmingham in Alabama, dealt with living systems of all forms. As a child, decided when I was in about the 5th or 6th grade that I desired to be a scientist. I didn't really know what area of science, but science was the driver. I want to make a comment with respect to your teachers. The individual who first in my life showed me that it was realistic to dream about being a scientist was my middle school science teacher, an incredibly talented African-American male. I, as is true with all of us, followed high school, college, graduate school, postdoctoral studies, and became a scientist. In my case, what is called a molecular biologist, which is someone who combines genetics with an awful lot of chemistry in order to understand how, at least in my particular case, how genes operate, how they're, more importantly, how they're turned off and on. The comment I would like to leave with the students is that you can't decide when you're in high school, at least not successfully, that you want to be a scientist, or for that matter, whatever you desire to dream to be. You really have to begin to think about the issue now and be very courageous, very optimistic with respect to what you can accomplish. It is possible that others might not necessarily share your dreams, and they might occasionally interfere with them. But in closing, I would like for you to remember the following. Under no condition should you become an impediment, should you become a barrier, should you become anything less than a fan of what you can accomplish. Thank you very much.
Now, all of them are at colleges, or were at colleges, that you could attend one day yourself, whether it's Wellesley College or the AU Center, UCLA, having trouble. You just remember that you really should reach for the stars. Now, we don't know where, oh, there he is. Okay, Dr. Jarvis, I was going to say we were missing Dr. Jarvis. No, he's coming in like a rock star. So a few words from him, okay?
All right, well, thank you. Sorry I'm late. I was so interested in the science of this museum, plus getting lost finding this place. Yes, my few words here is that I've always find being a scientist, but also being a teacher, I learn, not only teach, but I also learn by teaching from the students. And the students had some interesting questions that actually folks like myself can even bring back to the lab. I think, I hadn't even thought about that idea. And usually a young mind is pretty much open. And so I learned a lot from that experience here. And I also have to learn how to communicate some of the complicated things that we discovered to the students here. So for that, that's been a benefit for me. And I would say that there are some other things about not only the actual science, but the path of becoming a scientist, I often learn is useful to tell other people so they know the let's say, what do you call it, the things that have been successful for us and the things that have not been successful, where we can teach to others what's the better path to take based upon the experience that we have had. And would that work? Or okay, thank you.
Okay, guys, I want you to stand up and give them much love. Come on, tell them thank you for being here. Much love. Okay. Now, we had a YouTube contest, right? We had a YouTube contest, and we didn't get any entries from our two schools. So what I want to do is show you one of the entries we got from a school in St. Louis. So I want you, because I hear by your teachers that you're going to be doing your own YouTube contest later, so I want you to see this one.
You ready with that, buddy? Oh, yeah. Here it is. Here. I got this. Here, you try it out. See if it'll work. Is it working? I don't think so. This nigga's gonna die. Dude! I think he died. You just killed my plant. Sorry, man. Oops. Shouldn't be. Food in the lab. Yeah, you know. Oh, hi. My name is Dr. Erich. I study immunology. I graduated from University School of Philadelphia in 2018. I have won lots of awards, like the one right here. I won that in Space Camp. Space Camp, you like, oh, that's boring. Space Camp is actually where we get to study about new things. And I won because I was the best me I can be. What I'm here to talk about today is I made a cure for cancer. Who inspired me was Edwin Cooper. Y'all probably thinking that, who is that? That is one of the biggest scientists in the world. I seen him in New York. He was talking about what he does for a living. And that admired me. Well, if he's saving people's lives, what about me? So now I'm going to talk to you what I did. Me and my friend right here, we made a cure for cancer. Well, back in my day, when I was not like one, people would think people with a lot of blood cells had cancer. It's actually wrong. Well, I'm going to show you. What we did was we studied on people who had cancer in their heart. Well, I'm going to show you how I did it. Ooh, reels tonight. What happened is people who with heart cancer is actually have less blood cells. So we made a patch that go over your chest that pumps the heart to make more blood cells to make people live. And you know how many people we save? Sorry about the pronunciation, but you understand. We save billions of people, me and my fellow citizens. So thank you for coming out, and I gotta get back to what I was doing.
Doctor, I think I figured it out.
You
messed up that measurement over here. You're supposed to put 20 grams of chlorine, not 30.
So is it living?
I think so. Let me try. It's coming. It's coming.
Is it
We
alive?
got it. We got it.
Yay! Yay!
so Dr. Cooper, their science was a little off, but you never know. They thought your science was off at one time. Okay, now, I think we're still in the editing process upstairs, so I'd like to invite Mrs. LaTanya Waters here. She's the teacher from Parker Elementary School. Parker, give her much love.
Thank you, Parker. I want to thank Julieanna for this opportunity. I think my students really enjoyed themselves, as well as myself. This was a great opportunity for them to see science in a different aspect. I'm currently the science teacher at Parker Elementary School, which is located in the Inglewood neighborhood in Chicago. We have about 720 students. I would like to bring to you Timothy Wright, China Waters, Lauren McNeil, and Jayla Jackson to tell you what they've learned from this experience.
My name is Timothy Wright, and I attend Parker Community Academy. Today, I learned that Ms. Berger-Sweeney created the #2 most popular drug for Alzheimer's. And instead of becoming a lawyer, she became a great scientist. Thank you.
My name is Lauren McNeil. I'm in 8th grade. I attend Parker Community Academy. What I learned today was about editing and how, like, you can put so much stuff in there, but you got to narrow it. Today we had to narrow it down to 3 minutes. That's it.
Hi, my name is China Waters. I attend Marquette School. I'd like to share what I learned today. I learned how to take my own DNA and what 6th graders, 7th graders, 8th graders do with science.
Hello, my name is Jalen Jackson. I attend Parker Community Academy, and what I learned is that Dr. Cooper studied in the immune system, and that you could get cancer in all of your cells.
Okay, thanks, Parker. You have a great teacher. So is Roberta Ingram backstage? Is Miss Ingram there? Where is she? There she is. We've got these. I see we've got these dramatic entrances. You know what? You should talk about the school and everything.
Asante Sana. That's a phrase that we use at Betty Shabazz. Perhaps I should use the first phrase. To get attention at Shabazz, our students, we say, I go. The responses are made, which means I'm listening, waiting for the next set of instructions. We are an African-centered school on the south side of Chicago. Our curriculum is centered in African, and I guess 10 years ago, we became a charter school. We're from New Concept Development Center into Betty Shabazz International Charter School. I teach the 6th grade. Sometimes I tell people I retired into teaching because that's the only grade I've taught, 6. I've tried to move this way, I've tried to move that way, but I always land with the 6th graders because they're special. That is a grade where they're exploring, they're learning about themselves, and they're learning about the world. And I get excited about teaching them science because science is all around them. And that's kind of the philosophy that we have, and an African philosophy, is that science is all around us. And our credo in our classroom is protect the earth, it's our home. So when we talk about science, we look at that, we study that, we share that. And for this experience for us to elevate our learning, and that's what this experience has been. We've elevated with technology, having the cameras and learning how to use them to express ourselves and learning how to interface with the computers to tell our story, because that is the credo of the 6th grade, finding your voice. Oh, I'm to invite my students up. Let's see, Taya, would you come up, please? Ellington, Benin. Akeem. Is that 4? Yes, that's 4. Walk quickly, my brothers. These are 6th grade students. I go. I would like for our students to share with you what they've learned today. This has been an exciting experience that just dovetails into what we're learning every day in science and at Betty Shabazz. Would you like to speak first, Taya? Thank you.
What I learned today is that there are different kinds of sciences, and yes, scientists actually have humor.
This event was very informational. I learned about Rett's disorder syndrome from Dr. Berger-Sweeney.
I learned where particular cells are from Dr. Edwin Cooper, and I learned what DNA stands for from Dr. Luther Williams. And yeah. Yeah, I had fun. Yeah, it was very inspirational.
I learned today that stress can really drive you crazy and control your emotions.
Thank you.
Okay, can I have the team? Okay, can I have the team that worked on Dr. Luther Williams' video come up? You know, while we're waiting, can you just play the Science Makers video while we're waiting?
Every scientist has benefited from being on the shoulders of previous generations of scientists. So there is a feeling of legacy about helping out the next generation of scientists.
By profiling active scientists as well as scientists who have gone on, people can have a better sense of what it is that scientists of all ilks do.
These things have a logic to them. There's some rational basis underlying, and it can be understood.
I think it has the potential to reach more than just young people. I think it has the opportunity to reach the wider community, again, about scientists, African American scientists, and what they're doing currently in the field, or what they have done that we don't know about.
I see this as a great opportunity to gather primary archival materials on the lives of African American scientists. There is very little material in this area. Secondary, you can use these materials in your other projects, in particular to try to help young people to go into science.
I think it's important to sort of reassure young people by looking at HistoryMaker type materials that they aren't alone in their feeling of a little bit of insecurity about sort of what the future has in store.
The mission of the HistoryMakers is extraordinarily important for the history of the United States, the history of America, especially for the history of African Americans in this country. It's important that our children have role models.
I like science and math mostly because of the new and possibilities that you can get out of them. You can expand your knowledge to to have new questions waiting for answers.
Anyone can succeed in science or many other areas of creativity and knowledge. And the formula for doing it is very easy. You have to put sustained time and work. If you do that, then you can succeed.
Our scientist today is Dr. Edwin Cooper.
We're gonna talk today about the immune system. We just said a little bit something about stress. Who knows what the immune system is about? Yeah.
The immune system is a body part. It's like a type of it functions to protect your body from diseases.
Absolutely. Say that out loud. You did a good job.
I found out that with genetic engineering, they add a gene from one plant to another plant, like a tomato, how it would last much longer, so they would add the gene from that gene from the tomato to another plant.
Right.
Like, what if you were allergic to tomatoes, and then you ate fruit like a pineapple or something like that? Would you have allergic reaction with that?
Could possibly be. Yeah, I think it could be. You've done a lot of reading. I think you should become an immunologist like me. You've got good questions. Let me tell you about one. This antibody here, antibody E, that's the one that makes us have allergic reactions. Antibody E. And why? Because there are cells in the body that make histamine. Have you heard of histamine? Oh, you've heard of it. Think about it for a moment.
I've heard of it.
Histamine. When you see people who sneeze a lot, or what do they go to the drugstore to buy? What? Antihistamines. Well, there are cells that make histamine, and when you become allergic, they release histamine, and that causes these reactions.
Why were you so interested in the immune system?
Okay, good question. Why was I so interested in the immune system? First of all, I'm a biologist, and my PhD when I was a student was on the immune system of fish. When I was your age, I was playing around with these same animals, with fish, with frogs, with birds, and so I've had a long history of being interested in animals since I was your age. You must be, what, about 13, right?
Do you have any habits that you do when you're not studying?
Do I have any habits, what, hobbies maybe you mean, hobby?
Yeah.
Actually, my work is was mostly my hobby. I work, as they say, 24/7, meaning I work quite a lot because I like what I'm doing, and I've made my work my hobby, my work, my enjoyment.
I understand you're currently working in neurology.
I am a neuroscientist, and that means I study the brain, and I'm particularly interested in studying brain and behavior. What's really interesting about the brain is it takes all of the information in the outside world and it filters it inside so that you can react to it. So, if you see something out in the world, your brain is actually that area that processes what you see and creates that motor activity that allows you to interact with the world. So, it's not just vision, it also is other things in tactile. What happens when you put your hand on a hot plate? It burns. And so what's your natural reaction? To pull your hand away. Imagine, so what do you need for that to happen? You need a nervous system, and do you need it to be slow or do you need it to be fast? You need it to be fast. So the purpose of a nervous system is allow you to interact with the outside world really quickly. Imagine you put your hand on that hot plate and say, my hand is burning. I better move my hand. Your hand would be completely damaged. So your nervous system has to be quick and fast and relay messages to your brain, to your motor system, and do it quickly. What I'm working on is a syndrome called Rett syndrome, which is a kind of autism that affects mostly girls. And so I'm working on a mouse model of that disease, or a mouse in which we've created the same kind of genetic mutation as occurs in the humans, and we try and look at that to understand the relationship between brain and behavioral output. We're starting to understand that you can use either drugs or certain nutritional factors to reduce the effects of Rett, even once the girls have grown up. And that's some of the work I do, looking at how nutritional factors, things that you eat, might be able to affect the condition. One of the reasons I use nutritional supplements is because fundamentally they do no harm. Perhaps they're not going to improve the position, you don't know the condition before you start, but the one thing you know about most of the nutritional supplements that are on the market is they don't harm individuals, and that's why I wanted to take that approach with looking at trying to reduce the symptoms of Rett.
Why do you believe that Rett is so severe in boys and girls?
Well, we do actually understand that, and it has a little bit to do with genetics. And girls have 2 copies of the X chromosome. And so what normally happens is that one of the chromosomes is abnormal and one is normal. So that means that the condition is half as severe in girls than in boys who only have 1 X chromosome. So if their 1 X chromosome is abnormal or mutated, they don't have anything to counteract it, whereas girls have another set of proteins that can counteract it. So much more severe in boys. So the chemical that I study is called acetylcholine, and that chemical is absolutely critical for you moving and for your learning and memory and your thinking. Where I think it's important is that the pregnant mother should be taking choline supplements, eating some of the foods that have choline in it. So it's the pregnant mother that, yes, should be making sure that she is getting enough choline during pregnancy and also while she's breastfeeding.
Well, thank you, Dr. Berger-Sweeney, for coming and teaching us all about Rett's and choline.
You're very welcome.
Okay, what exactly does a scientist in neurobiology study?
A scientist in neurobiology studies the brain, basically. But when we say the brain, Okay, most people think it's human brain. Some people think that many other animals don't even have a brain. But many animals have a brain. And it's not only mammals. Does anybody know, he made a few examples of mammals? What? Elephants, yeah. So elephants, right? So mammals, but also you see birds. Then there's even insects. They also have a brain. So basically, scientists like to think of themselves studying neurons, which is the individual cells in the brain. That is the neuroscience.
How many total? One.
Okay, did everybody hear that? Yeah. He said one, and before he passed away a few years ago, he could count up to 6. So it's not only the ability to actually speak, hear it, but and understand what the question is in this case. That is understanding human speech, but actually saying it. So what we discovered about song-associated learning is that when an animal produces its learned vocalizations, that act of singing, or even in us, we think speaking, causes certain genes to be turned on, and then to either modify the connections in the brain such that you can then form a better memory of what you're trying to sing, or actually stabilize the connection so you can hold on to the memory of what you're trying to sing. Here we go. So what you're going to see, right? So he can actually dance to the music, and guess what? Okay. When I was trying to decide what to do with my life and career, I had 3 different choices at 2 different times. Okay? The first time was, what was I going to do broadly as a career? My prior path was becoming a dancer. Okay, so I went to high school performing arts where I did ballet and modern and then African dance. And I had to make a decision, science or dance, because I really liked science. And I decided science because I felt I can have a positive impact on society by making discovery about how things work. And also maybe even helping understand the causes and cures for diseases. And then when I decided finally upon science and went to college for that, you're asking about neuroscience or brain scientists, I made the other choices. What am I going to do with science? And that choice was either I want to understand how the brain works or understand the origins of the universe. It was those 2 choices. And I wanted to choose something that was a complicated problem, that was hard to solve, that once we solve it, it was a big discovery. And so I felt those 2 choices were good enough. So then in choosing the brain, the reason why I chose the brain is that somehow I felt more connected to my past life as a dancer. Something more spiritual to that connection. So it was more the connecting between dance, brain, and art that brought me to neuroscience.
My name is Luther Williams. I am presently at a university in Alabama, Tuskegee University. What gave me the interest in genetics? I grew up in rural Alabama, a community very close to Birmingham, and obviously I understood changes in seasons, animal lives and whatever, and I was very fascinated about how living systems grow and develop. So the interest was curiosity about the natural environment. I wanted to understand why things change. What I do is that we take organisms that are normal, or for example, that are abnormal. Let me give an example. I want to know the difference between a cell that is normal and a cell that is infected with a virus that causes a human disease. This is the structure of DNA. DNA, desoxynucleic acid. It's not a cartoon. It's the real structure of DNA. You see these 2 strands? Mm-hmm. It's double. And every chromosome you have in your body you have two of these. The DNA is inside of a long structure. It's called a chromosome.
How does DNA play out in terms of diseases, that are passed on from a mother and father to a child and siblings?
Oh, tremendously. There are at least 50 straightforward human diseases that are entirely genetic, totally owing to genetics.
So, when you're not studying genetics, what do you like to do?
Read about genetics. I like to read, especially history, particularly African American history.
Who inspired you to study genetics?
Who inspired me to, a better statement I think would be, who inspired me to study science? When I was in the 5th grade, I had an incredibly bright math and science teacher who convinced me that I could study science, and that then led to genetics. So I would say that if I would name one person, it was an incredibly brilliant African American middle school teacher who taught me, well, elementary school teacher, because I was in the 5th and 6th grade.
Hi, my name is Angelo Brown, and I was an interviewer for Dr. Jarvis, and what inspired me to learn to talk about Dr. Jarvis today was what inspired him. When I asked him what inspired him to be a biologist and scientist, he said his father did. His father was starting the school of being a scientist, but he'd stopped, and he didn't finish what he had did when he was a scientist.
Hello, my name is DeAndre Sturden from Betty Shabazz Cincinnati Charter School. I was the video taker and the editor for Dr. Jarvis, and what I learned was that any animal have the skills to talk or to have any sort of movement as of dancing, just as a human.
Hi, my name is Aviz Qaderi, and I was the timekeeper for Dr. Jarvis. And what I learned that every animal can talk and understand human.
Hi, my name is Wakila Elamine, and I am the note taker for Dr. Williams. I learned about brain cells, and it was very hard to keep up with being the note taker because he talked very fast, but it was fun also because I get to edit the tape that we made, and that's it.
Hi, my name is Jalen Roy, and I was the videographer for Dr. Williams. And what I learned was that all scientists have to work together to help each other with each other's research.
Hello. My name is Aaron Boyd, and I was the editor for Dr. Williams, and my experience was good because we got to interview and edit videos and talk to our scientists, and so yeah.
Okay. My name is Muhammad, and I was the editor of the Dr. Williams HistoryMakers. My experience in being an editor was that I had to learn how to edit different parts of scenes on the computer, and I learned a lot of things about computers that I never would have thought that I would get the chance to do. Thank you.
Is that it? Okay, so let's give our editing teams a round of applause. And since we were not able to finish our process, we promised we're going to send your tapes to you so you can view them in your class. I want to thank everyone for being here today. This is the beginning of our initiative. We'll be working with each of you for the rest of the school year. I want to thank our scientists for being here today. And I want to say, I want all of us to end by saying this. Okay, can we say this in unison? Yes, okay. Okay, so I want you to say, I want to be a future science maker. I want to be a future science maker. Okay, so let's do that with real oomph, okay? Let's stand up. And we're gonna say it 5 times. Okay. Okay, is my chorus up here working with me? What happened to my chorus up here? Okay. Okay, let's go. 1, 2, 3. I want to be a future science maker. I want to be a future science maker. I want to be a future science maker. I got you down there. I want to be a future science maker. I want to be a future science maker. Okay, go on, guys.